We're in it. Josh is in the building. Come on in, Josh. Come on in, sir. Welcome to the show. How you doing, man? Good morning. Come on, have a seat. Sit on down. Here's some headphones for you. Thanks for coming. We appreciate you. How was the drive down from Mooresville?
Hey, it was slow.
Slow, huh?
Yeah. I took that HOV lane.
Oh, the HOV lane, yeah. Well, you got to have 3 people to make it free. Otherwise, you're paying for it.
Oh, yeah.
You frequent Cornelius a lot, or?
We go south quite a bit.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we were scheduled to go south today to load watermelons.
Yeah.
But I think I'm getting detoured to Goldsboro down east.
Okay.
So.
I'm not gonna lie to you. We had not met before. We've never met, and based on online and all this stuff, I didn't know how to picture you. I'd never seen you before. I didn't know if I was expecting like a big giant to come in here, like this big burly tomato, like watermelon carrying guy, or what. But you seem like a nice guy.
Yeah, well, I try to be.
Yeah,
I try to be. It's I've done this my whole life, and so I still look at myself as being halfway young, but I'm 43 now.
Yeah.
So
You don't look a day over 30, man.
No, I feel it. I can promise you that.
What do you love about like doing a farmer's market, man? That's pretty specific and pretty niche. What's like your passion for it?
It started a long time back, and it's always been a passion of mine, although we didn't really take it seriously until about 07, 08. But I guess the biggest thing is people are happy when they come in there. They want to be in there, and they make a point to come see us. And very rarely do we ever have anybody come in that's in an ill mood or doesn't want to be there. So
sure.
You're providing a service. It's a unique service, extremely unique in this day and age. Everything is really sort of a box store idea now.
Yeah.
And there's reasons for that, because we're not very efficient with what we do, and we don't do things the easy way. So there's very few people that want to do what we do. But it's just getting to know the customers. I've got folks that actually have been buying from us for 20 plus years.
20 plus years.
20 plus years. So it's almost like an extended family.
Yeah.
So
I'd say so. Like, how much variety of market do you guys have? Like, can I buy, like, you do a lot of seafood.
We do.
Do you have that out at the farmer's market? Like, people can come to Ice Bins and get some seafood, or what?
Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. We go to the coast. My brother-in-law, Garrett, goes to the coast Friday mornings. He's typically gone on by 3:30. We load down in Surf City, North Carolina.
Yeah.
We load there first, run up to Sneed's Ferry. We have 2 to 3 different either crabbers and shrimpers that we load off of. And then occasionally we'll have to run back down to Wilmington and load down there. So it's an all-day deal. You get back late Thursday afternoons, sometimes Thursday night, and then we actually pack pre-orders Thursday night. I don't know how sustainable this is, because it does wear you out.
Oh, my gosh.
Especially Garrett being gone all day.
It's a 4-hour drive to the beach. And then not to mention, you're talking about not just one beach. You're talking you guys are going up and down the coast.
Up and down the coast. So, but, in order to keep it fresh, that's why we do that. We could haul it on Wednesday and get it back, but it's a day older.
Yeah.
And seafood is one of those deals you really can't cheat.
No.
It tells on you if it's not fresh. So,
do you like seafood? Like, do you eat seafood yourself?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What's your favorite kind of seafood?
I was raised on flounder.
Okay.
We have a family house down in Outer Banks, southern part of Outer Banks. So I've been going down since I was in diapers and could remember. We'd catch our own flounder and puppy drum, that kind of stuff. So, but what we sell the most of here and what people really like are your grilling fish, your Faroe Island salmon, your grouper, your tuna, your halibut, and I'll eat that too.
Yeah.
So, and my especially my oldest boy Luke, he doesn't care what it is, as long as it's seafood, he'll eat it.
So through COVID and supply chain prices, all of that, what's that been like for you guys as a farmer's market?
Well, that's been the hardest part, I guess, since I've done what we've done is getting used to the price points. We don't shop prices, we shop quality. And whereas we don't have the buying power that these big chains do. And we're not buying the same stuff these chains do. We buy from, talking about seafood, the crabber that we buy from, he doesn't sell to any box stores. And all of my farmers that we buy from, they don't sell to box stores. So we're providing an item that is fresher and it's better than what you can get in chain stores, but it's not going to be cheaper. And unfortunately, that's just the thing of it. Back in 20, we had to implement a drive-through because folks were they didn't want to go inside a building. They were scared to have human contact. And so we had to overnight figure out how to make this work. We opened a month early. My staff got it together. They did an unbelievable job. And we said, well, let's just put a drive-through in. Well, we started fielding 100-plus orders a day through that drive-through, and we were not equipped to handle that. So luckily, the college kids got sent home. So we were very fortunate. We hired about 8 or 9 really good college girls. They were sharp. And we put them in the drive-through, and they worked it 7 days a week. And we had folks driving from TKK, Fort Mill, folks driving from Boone, Blowing Rock, Greensboro, to come through that drive-through. And they would, hold their signs up with their last name. They would have their order placed ahead. They would pay ahead. They'd pop their trunk, and we hit them down the road. Well, seafood was one of those deals that the price points jumped tremendously in the spring of spring of 21 is when it happened. And I thought to myself, oh, this is going to be the end of us because, here we are trying to stay under $30 a pound for scallops now. For North Carolina group.
Your cost or selling?
That would be what we would be selling it at.
Yeah.
Because the price point jumped to what we were selling it at.
Yeah.
And but it's folks get accustomed to it. I think they've come to expect it now with the price points on certain items. And luckily we have a clientele that buys quality over price. And not everybody's going to shop with us, but we have a great following. They're loyal to us, and we're very fortunate for that.
Now, I see on your website it says Josh's Farmers Market since 1990. I was born in 1990, so you were what, like 10 in 1990?
10, yes, sir.
So is that when you started a farmer's market, when you were 10 years old?
That's when we started, 1990.
How did it start?
So we spent the summers with my grandparents there on Williamson Road, and my step-grandfather had cantaloupe patch across the road. So he asked us, do y'all want to sell cantaloupes? And I was all for it. And my brother was 7 at the time, a 3-year difference. And so we'd spend the summers there. My mother and father drop us off like 6 a.m. during the summer. And my great-grandma would have breakfast ready. We'd play baseball in the shade trees, and we'd wait on customers. We started with 2 wheelbarrows and cantaloupes. We'd pull cantaloupes every morning, walk them across the road. It's a Fidelity Bank sits where the cantaloupe patch was. And we'd sell cantaloupes. So we only were open, we never had set hours, obviously. We were 10 and 7. And very rarely did we have shoes on. But we would start in the mornings, and, we'd sell cantaloupes 75 cents a piece.
And that's what started with, was cantaloupes. That was the start.
That's how it started. And I loved it. I immediately, because I got to talk to people.
Yeah.
And I got to meet people. And it was, I guess it was 1993 maybe. It was my 3rd year doing it, and I met some folks that lived down. They actually have recently moved, but they had just moved into the area, and she made the front page of the Mooresville Tribune, black and white still at that time.
Yeah.
And kind of find out, I ended up going to school with her boy the entire way through school, but she had just moved into the area, and that's how I got to meet them.
Small world.
So.
And do you think as Mooresville continues to grow and change, because you've seen a lot of the change, right? You've been here for forever. Yeah. And as it continues to change, as a business owner, do you see this as a positive or a negative, the growth that's occurring throughout Mooresville?
It is a double-edged sword, obviously. It's obviously it's beneficial for us if you run a business in Mooresville. But at the same time, as it does get busier, the roads get more jammed up. And so it's all about convenience then. And will folks fight traffic to get to you, or will they fight lines to get to you? So, I've had people that, on Saturdays during our busy season, I will find bags laying on our shelves, and there's folks that don't want to wait in line. So, you don't ever want to see that. Even if we've got 5 registers going, we still can't get them through. And that's just because of the influx of people and the size of the location that we have right now. So, but it's definitely a double-edged sword. I understand growth. Growth's hard to stop from a municipality standpoint, but it definitely it's definitely one of those deals where I've always heard if a town's not growing, it's dying. Mm-hmm. That's what I've heard.
Yes, sir.
But I think there's there's probably ways to do it a little more effectively or efficiently, but. Luckily, I stay out of government, so I don't have to mess with that.
I like throwing stones from the sidelines, so it's pretty good. No, we're talking with Josh of Josh's Farmers Market, josh'sfarmersmarket.com. They are located in Mooresville. We're going to stick with you, Digital Fam, through this radio break. Radio Fam will rejoin shortly. Good morning, LKN. 844 Studio 4 if you want to be part of the conversation. Josh, you've already had a couple calls before you even got here, man. All right, so we're still with our digital fam on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. We do video stream of everything we do. So you have been on video this whole time, too, by the way. I don't know if I told you about that. Yeah. So, okay, so give me the background, man. What happened with, like, the town of Mooresville? I see these social media posts. Give me the background on what happened. I don't really know.
Oh, man, I don't know where to start. So back in 2019, I was approached by a DOT rep saying they were going to widen the road. And
where was this at? Like,
this
where
was at our original site,
which was
189 Williamson.
Okay,
so at my grandparents' property.
Yes, sir.
And we had paid rent there for 15 years plus, and we'd always planned on building there, developing that. Well, my grandmother passed in 16, so that sort of went through. That fell by the wayside with her. I just didn't realize it at the time. So we knew we had to tear down because of the DOT right-of-way purchase, and they were going to take the front two sheds of our market. And so, I knew we were going to tear down. So we approached the town about tearing down, moving back, demoing the house, building it back, putting it back up, and then doing the electrical to code. And they told us, no, we couldn't do that. We had to build permanent. And so fortunately, because of COVID, everything was delayed. So we were able to pretty much finish out the 20 season there. Well, DOT come through, they bought the right-of-ways. We had to pay rent, actually, for 3 months just to stay on their property, the DOT right-of-way property. So we closed down in December of 20, and the YMCA took us in. Ashley Morgan approached me, and I initially told her it wouldn't work, not enough parking.
Yeah.
But she convinced me to try it, and it was a blessing for us. So it was a great, year, 3 quarters that we were there. But in the town had told me we had to build permanently, and that was fine. We had outgrew our model, so we went under contract with some land back in October of 20. We closed on the land. Didn't close on the land until 21, but at the time they give us the town said we'll give you a year to operate wherever you go, and that'll give you time to build. Well, I thought that'd be great. Well, I was really naive on how long it takes permitting and everything.
Sure.
No clue. Yeah. And it's 2-year build time now from permitting to build. In Mooresville especially. Oh, yeah. So we opened at the Y in April 15th of 21.
Okay.
And
let's pause on that story real quick because we're going to rejoin with our radio family real quick, and then we'll pick up where we left off on that. I'll try to summarize it as the area has changed. Right, we were talking about growth a little bit, and then for our digital fam exclusive, we started getting into the story of Josh's Farmers Market and what kind of went down. And you were telling us, okay, DOT comes in with this right-of-way expansion. You guys are trying to work at your existing property on Williamson Road. Okay, now you've come to find out you've got to build permanent structure. And then the Y took you guys in, basically, right? Like a lost puppy in the street. they took you in, and they wanted to help the community. And you're part of the community. So pick up then where we left off with that. Okay, you guys work with the YMCA to stay open.
So we opened April 15th of 21. I had no expectations, honestly. I didn't know what to think. We were 2 or 3 blocks off the main highway. And immediately, it's like we never shut down. It's like we'd been there forever. People, especially my weekends, were just unbelievable. We had adequate parking for the first time ever, and they just flocked in there. And it was a great partnership between the two of us. It really was, because their customers shopped with us. Our customers had people that joined the Y that didn't know it was back there. I mean, it's still hard to believe that folks didn't know the Y was back there, but I heard that quite a bit. So we were there for the year 21. Well, we had we contacted Morton Builders back in late 20, knew what we needed, and we went under contract with the parcel of land on Williamson, and designed a building, wrote a 6-figure check on December 9th of 20. We was ready to go.
You remember that day?
Oh, man, yeah. I remember it because they had a 15% increase on the 10th. So they did me a favor by letting me know this.
That's right.
So they locked me in. They put me on a build schedule of April, May. They're, again, pretty naive on how the permitting works for the town. So 21 rolls around, quarter 1 of 21 rolls around. We're trying to get permitted. We're trying to get the preliminary stuff done to start permitting. And we immediately ran into easement issues with DOT. DOT said, well, we're going to give you a right in, right out. That's it. And we can't give you access to the Sundown Road, which is a stoplight road adjacent to us, which would have been perfect. And so that immediately threw some wrench into plans. So, but we kept on going with it, trying to figure out how to get an engineer and architect was working on it, and we decided, well, hey, there's a medical center that sits right beside us there at the parcel we bought, so we'll do a shared entrance with them. That'll give us a full access movement because it's there. DOT can't they can't put any stipulations on an existing entrance, and we'll have interconnectivity between the two parcels. So it worked out great. So we called Mr. Paul Terriot with Lake Norman Regional COO, and he said, "Yep." He said, "I think we'd be good for it, but I got to get it in front of my CEO." So they drew it up, and was rolling pretty good with it. I still think we were going to start in May, which never would have happened anyway. And the town said, "Hey, you got to do a traffic study." That was in late March, and none of us had expected a traffic study because we were a 20-year business moving 8.8 miles on the same road that already had designs for road improvements. And so my architect and engineer sort of argued it best they could, and they said, "Nah, we got to do it." Well, the downside of that wasn't the cost of the TIA; it was $12,000. The downside was, at the time, the town did not allow simultaneous permitting. So we had a year to operate at the YMCA. They come in and say, you have to do a TIA. The TIA started in June, and it lasted 6.5 months.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, I lost 6.5 months of my 12-month window the town had given me. And all permitting stopped. We would just sit on our hands waiting on this TIA to come back. And it's coming out of COVID. Government was really slow. TIA took 6.5 months. So the DOT signed off on it in January of 22. They finally signed off on it. We started back on the negotiations with Lake Norman Regional. But at that time, between the TIA start and then, they had decided they were going to sell the parcel. So they listed the parcel in 22.
Ouch.
They never got back to us on the shared entrance. So we were sort of dead in the water. So we got ready to open up at the Y in 22, and I made a couple of Facebook posts announcing it. And then I get an email. Actually, I get a phone call from Miss Ashley at the Y. We're coming back from the coast on a Thursday. And she says, the town says you can't open here this year. And I said, well, I haven't resubmitted a new permit, but it doesn't run out till March 31st. I'm going to do that. She said, no. She said, they said you can't operate here at all. And so I immediately the next morning went downtown, and they said, yeah, you're not able to operate there. You only had a year. And I said, well, yeah, but I had a 7-month traffic study that y'all forced on us. He said, yeah. He said, but that's irrelevant. And I said, no, it is relevant. It's 7 months of my 12-month period.
Right. I
said, you got to work with me here. He said, nah. I says, that's our hands are tied. So we ended up. They had adopted a new ordinance in February of 22, and that new ordinance, what really started the whole battle was when I realized that they had included all the existing businesses that were inside of Mooresville. They either grandfathered them in or they were there. They didn't have to follow these new ordinances, except us. And I really struggled with why did they exclude us when they included all the other existing businesses in Mooresville. And it went around quite a bit. Luckily, I think they had some pushback from some citizens when we first found out we may not get open. But at the end of the day, they decided to write us a 120-day permit, which they technically should have in the first place. They should have offered that from the beginning. They didn't, because that's part of their new ordinance.
So this was in 22.
This was in 22.
Yeah.
So that allowed us the 120 days starting in April when the 1-year permit ran out from 21. So we operated like that, and the 120 day ended in, I guess it was the last of July, I believe.
Okay.
And the why they had town told us, they said, look, you have 120 days, but after that you'll be fined. And I thought, oh Lord, I told myself I spent $75,000 here because to set this to prep this site after the TIA was enforced, and we lost all that time. I said, because I knew it wasn't going to be a temporary fix at that time. So I said, I'll stay and pay the fines. And I talked to the Y, and the Y said, yeah. I said, we don't have a problem with it as long as you pay the fines. We don't have a problem with it. So we got it in writing. We put it in writing that I would take care of all fines.
Yeah.
And because that was the option the town gave us.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, if I go to tear down there, I had already agreed to replace everything at the YMCA, everything we tore up, grounds and everything.
Of course.
We'd sign a waiver for that, and then I had also signed and said I'd take care of the penalties and the fines. And we thought we were good just to finish the year.
Yeah.
And when the town found out we were going to stay and pay the fines, they were just shell-shocked.
Sure.
And they decided then they started hinting around about doing eminent. Is it
eminent domain?
No, it's eminent junction. I believe it is. It's where they get a court order to shut you down.
It says you can't do it anymore. An injunction.
Yeah. So, so I finally decided we had to hire an attorney because we had to appeal the town's decision.
Okay.
And we hired an attorney, and I'll never forget, we took a late vacation that year. It was in October because my boy played high school football, and he had a bye week, so we took off. And I get a phone call from my attorney and said, we've got to appeal this if you're going to do it. The town had already told us we couldn't appeal it because we weren't the landowners. He said, well, we got to appeal this if you're going to do it. So we had to take care of it right then to appeal it. He said, one of the first things you need to do is just get a signed petition. He said, just let a petition at your market and let folks sign it just to show public support.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, that's not a big deal.
How many signatures?
We got over 5,000. And
Nice.
we actually didn't push the issue after about a month, but we got 5,000 within a month.
Wow.
And, but I didn't think a big deal of it.
Sure.
So people petition governments all the time.
All the time.
And the town got wind of the petition, and they made a Facebook post on October 15th on their public platform. And that was a Saturday. And I had customers sending it to me because I didn't follow the town page. I had customers sending me screenshots of it. And I'm reading it, and I'm thinking, wow, I've never seen a municipality attack a small business. And before I even got in that morning, because I was hauling, Charlotte Observer was standing there. They had gotten it because the town had put it out on Neighborhood app.
Oh.
They put it out on several different platforms. And the Charlotte Observer rep, the news reporter, said the same thing. He said, man, I've been writing for the Observer 40 years. He said, I've never seen a municipality attack a YMCA or a small business. He said, this is unheard of. And he said, I got to find out what's going on. So luckily, one of the biggest advocates of ours, and not initially, she was really apprehensive about it, was the Mooresville Scoop. And that's Jamie Gatton. And she's an independent freelance writer. She used to write for the Tribune. But a mutual friend of ours, encouraged her to look into it. And she saw the post that the town made. And she immediately said, this is uncalled for. You're not supposed to attack a small business on a government platform. And so she said she was going to hold them accountable no matter what. Well, one thing led to another. We spent a couple nights on the phone, 3 hours at a time. And I told her, from my side of things. And she said, I'm going to go back to the town. She said, I've got great friends down there. And she said, we'll see if you're lying. I said, all right, fair enough. I wasn't worried about it. I just wanted to see if they were going to own up to it. And she come back. She said, yeah. She said, I'll cover it.
So where do we stand today then? We got about 30 seconds left. Where do we stand today?
We are at 630 Brawley School Road. That is a restaurant site, a future restaurant site. And so we're not going to be there much longer, unfortunately. We're still trying to figure out where to go from there. We've got several commissioners that have really stepped up to show some support and try to figure out a way to make this work. Because at the end of the day, all of us want it to go away. I'm tired of living like this. We're tired of working day to day. Yeah. And we're still trying to get built at 408 Williamson.
Okay.
Waiting on DOT to do some upgrades there.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your time. Thanks for coming down, and appreciate you telling your story.
Yes, sir.
All right. Josh of Josh's Farmers Market, josh'sfarmersmarket.com. Coming right back. Josh of Josh's Farmers Market. Josh, what's your last name? Graham. Josh Graham.
Yes,
I looked that up. I looked it up on the Secretary of State's website, by the way. As we were making your lower third for the video, I said, what is Josh's last name? I couldn't find it anywhere. So josh'sfarmersmarket.com. Okay, so you were telling us before we went to break into news for the top of the hour, you guys are kind of in this flux of looking for a new spot. We had a caller call in, Aaron. Shout out to Aaron, who was calling asking, she hears rumors you guys may be moving to Troutman. What's kind of the lay of the land right now for you?
Well, we have definitely considered that. and not necessarily a movement like a second site.
Multi-location.
Well, that's what we want to do in the end. We would, in a perfect world, we would love to have one in Mooresville where we are, Troutman, and then honestly, I've wanted to go downtown for quite a while because we have a lot of clientele that drive over.
Yeah,
they avoid Saturdays on purpose because of crowds, but they come through the week. So I think it's only right to try to go to them and have a site. But and Mooresville's definitely big enough to have multiple locations.
Sure.
So, but Troutman is, back in November of 22, after the town post, we actually had the Troutman town manager reached out and said, "Hey," said, if Mooresville don't have room for you, don't want you, he said, "We'll take you here." So they did adopt a new UDO also, but they do not have a farm market provision in it at the time. And they said that, with the right support from the board, they could adopt one and make it work. But at the end of the day, I didn't want to bite off more than we could chew, and
Sure.
I felt like it was irresponsible to not get something worked out in the 117 where we have originated from.
Yeah.
Before we go looking and trying to do multiple sites.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely Troutman is still on the horizon, I hope, and I think we can definitely make it work when the time's right.
So in my negotiating skills right here, a peaceful resolution, what would that look like to you with the town of Mooresville? Is it just finding a place and you guys just go about your way now and there's no more beef, or what in your mind would be peaceful resolution?
Well, I think that if the town's sincere about wanting a permanent facility, if that was their end goal, then obviously once we have that permanent facility, that'll work itself out. But I can't. It's also irresponsible for me to just go find a piece of land somewhere that I don't like and know that will not work and drop $1.5 million, $2 million. That's what it's going to take to develop something nowadays. And so we strategically bought the land on Williamson. It's going to be a great location. But unfortunately, when we went under contract in 20, DOT was scheduled for 21. When we closed on it in 21, DOT was scheduled for 22. Now they're scheduled for middle of 24. So that's out of my control. It's also out of the town's control.
And so is it that you're waiting on, is it the whole secondary access road to the light is what is the big hang up, or?
That's a big intersection. That's a big, what they're doing is they're shifting Sundown Road almost 200 foot.
Mm-hmm.
So Sundown Road, they're actually bringing to us, which is great for easements. It's going to have a full access movement, a stoplight entrance, which helps my older clientele, which really helped anybody.
Right.
With the way traffic is now. But that does not happen until they do the road widening. So not only are we losing the road in the frontage, we're losing about 1.1 acres. But the biggest thing is easement. Is in the interim, if they're going to relegate me to a right in, right out, it doesn't work because infrastructure south of us does not allow for legal U-turns. And town manager said, well, they can do turnarounds down below you. Well, they can until the shopping center and Harbor Cove, I believe it is, decides they want to put signs up and says no turnarounds, and that's what will happen. So 50% of my clientele come off Brawley. That's a peninsula.
Mm-hmm.
So if they come to me, they can get to me. If they leave, they got to go away, and it just doesn't work. Not right there. But it'll be a great location. We did make an offer on the Lions Club parcel.
Oh.
Actually, made 2 offers.
Oh.
The second one was pretty substantial thanks to a private investor.
Yeah.
But landowners were not interested.
Interesting.
And I had a chance to buy that in 20, and I didn't. So that was my mess up.
Well, we all have mistakes. You may not have heard. There's a couple of mistakes that's happened in my family before. Come to find out, Josh, and so you and your situation can appreciate this. My great-grandma on my mom's side was asked out on a date by the founder of Krispy Kreme in high school. And she said no. She said no. But it gets worse, Josh. It gets worse. On my dad's side, my grandma, asked out by Tony Bennett on a date, said no. I've got 2 missed opportunities in my family that I don't know if I can recover from.
Oh, my Lord.
So we all have stories of that in our family. You're not alone. So, but we love how community driven you are. That's something that stands out to me because through COVID, there became this just national pendulum, right? Like everything went to this national side of things. Let's look, and we were supposed to come together and unify and all this kind of stuff. Didn't happen. We know that. But now it's swinging so much back to the local market and to the local people and the local community. And that's what you guys focus on is local. Now, let me ask you this. How far out do you go when you buy, besides the coast with the fish? Obviously, you got to go to the ocean to get fish. But as far as the rest of your produce and stuff, are you working with local farmers, like actually to carry their produce?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do. We absolutely do. You know, with that being said, though, the local farming scene is shrinking, and a lot of the small family farms are shrinking. So we have growers that we buy from that we know. We call, we text as far south as really as far south as South Georgia, and then we haul a lot of stuff out of the mountains. You know, we do a lot of consignment with some growers still. So, and I've got a grower up in Pennsylvania, believe it or not, and that I call and text. He tells me when he's going to start pulling and when he's shipping. So, you know, the networking is so important with what we do because we don't just push a button and the stuff gets delivered to us.
Right.
We source everything ourselves. We go look at it. Produce is a very short shelf life option. So if you don't load and you don't source the correct stuff, you know, for one, nobody's going to want it, and then two, you're going to have a very short time to get rid of it. So, you know, we have to be real particular about that. And but yeah, I've got growers, local growers. A lot of them are reside in the Rowan County area, which is where I live now.
Yeah.
But China Grove, Woodleaf, and then we've got growers over in Lincoln County, Catawba County. So, you know, those I consider local. Mountain grown, even though the North Carolina mountains, I don't really consider that immediate local. I label it as mountain grown. And I got about 12 growers up there that we buy off of twice a week. So we try to keep it as local as possible because that's what makes us different than chain stores. And that's always in the back of my mind is how do we differentiate ourselves from chain stores? So
I'm going to choose violence for a moment here. There's a big debate in barbecue as far as who's got best barbecue.
Oh, here we go.
So for produce, who's got the best? You know, is it? Can we just say Josh's Farmers Market has the best produce because you guys put everybody together? But who are you going to that is the best produce?
Oh man, that's tough because my growers in China Grove are really good. Several of them sell at the Davidson market. But we're selling their items. And there again, if we don't sell it, they have to ship it out of state or ship it somewhere because they grow more than what they can handle. I'm partial to the mountains.
Okay.
The only downside with the mountains is if they get a lot of rain, which they do this time of year. We have to really forecast and watch rain because rain ruins produce and it ruins the quality. But I'm partial to Eastern North Carolina also. So I've got my favorites. It depends on what time.
Playing the political game now, Josh. Playing the political game.
Hard to narrow it down.
More of a politician than you think you are, right there. So, no, but one last question for you: cantaloupe. You still eat it, or no? You had too much in your life.
Oh no, I still eat it.
Still eat the cantaloupes, and that's how it all started. And that's cool. It's cool. No, thank you for telling your story. Thanks for sticking around with us. An extra segment today, even too. Weren't even expecting that. And
thank you for having me.
Thanks to our caller. Sorry we couldn't get you on the air. You're listening to Good Morning LKN. We've been talking with Josh of Josh's Farmers Market, josh'sfarmersmarket.com. Check them out. Freshest seafood in the game and the best produce. We're coming right back.